So this is now page 18, and we start with si vis. So, and this is still Isilius speaking. So he says, if force is literally brought to, or we might say in English, applied to this, huik, to this thing. Now, huik here is referring to the chastity, the pudikitia that we heard about on the previous page. So in other words, if Appius acts violently towards the chastity of the women, right? Because remember, before he was saying, do what you want to our backs and our necks, beat us, chain us up, whatever, but don't damage the chastity of our women. So now he's saying, if you do, if force is applied to this thing, to this pudikitia, then, and then the main verb here is implorabimus. So we will call upon or invoke the loyalty, the fidem. And then he sort of breaks it up a bit. So I'm going to invoke the loyalty of these people. Someone else is going to invoke the loyalty of another group of people. Okay, so we will invoke the loyalty of I of the quirites, which means Roman citizens, right? I of the Roman citizens who are present, praesentium, on behalf of my fiancée, pro sponsa. So, I will invoke the loyalty of the Roman citizens present on behalf of my fiancée. Virginius will invoke the loyalty of the soldiers, militum, genitive plural, on behalf of his only daughter, pro unica filia. And everyone will invoke the loyalty deorum hominumque, of gods and of men. So in other words, it's such a catastrophic situation that everyone is going to be calling upon the loyalty of everyone else to help out. This is also, I suppose, what we would call a tricolon. I will do this, Virginius will do that, and everyone will do something else. So it's a tricolon. It's 3 points, and you could also say it's a tricolon crescendo. It builds up to from just me to someone else as well to everyone. Right. So that's what's going to happen. And then he says, "Nor neque will you referes, repeat, istud decretum." Istud is just like ille, but it's a bit more pejorative, it's a bit more negative, So nor will you repeat that decree, decretum, ever, umquam. And I put that decree of yours to suggest that negative connotation of istud. So nor will you ever repeat that decree of yours, sine caede nostra, without our slaughter, nostra caede. So in other words, you'll have to kill us if you want to actually enforce this decree. That's the point. And then he says, postulo appi, I ask or demand, Appius, I demand that you consideres, this is subjunctive because we're in an indirect command, I ask Appius that you consider to where, quo, you are heading, progrediare, this is another subjunctive because we're still in an indirect command. or in fact, I suppose this is now an indirect question introduced by quo, but either way, we've got a subjunctive here, from progredior, to go in a certain direction. So I ask Appius that you consider where you are heading, etiam atque etiam, again and again. Right? So he's saying, Appius, just keep on asking yourself, what are you trying to do here? What is your aim here? Because it's not going to work. And then he says, let Virginius see, Virginius viderit, that's again subjunctive because it's the idea of let him see, let Virginius see what he should do, quid agat, another subjunctive because we're in an indirect question introduced by quid. So let Virginius see what he should do about his daughter, Dei Filia, when he arrives. Venerit is future perfect, literally when he will have arrived. But in English, we would say when he comes or when he has come. And then we have another subjunctive, because it's the idea of let something happen, let this be the case. And this is skiat, so let him know, hoc tantum. Literally that means only this. Although in English you might say, let him know this much. That if he yields, cesserit, to the claims, vindicis, of this man, and by the way, the subject of skiat is Virginius. So he's saying, let Virginius understand that if he yields to the claims of this man, and this man, huius, I guess, is the claimant, i.e. Marcus, if he yields to the claims of this man, then a match. We're now in an indirect statement, so accusative and infinitive. So let him know that a match must be found, gerundive of obligation, for his daughter, dative case. In other words, if Virginius allows, if he allows Marcus to take his daughter home, then he's going to have to find a new fiance for his daughter, because this guy, Isilius, is not interested in marrying Virginia if she is sort of damaged goods, as he sees it. You know, if she's already been sleeping with someone else, i.e. Marcus. Okay. And then he says, slightly difficult sentence here, he says, vita, life, would sooner or more quickly, Kitius, desert me, deseret me. This is another subjunctive because it's the idea of would, right? Life would sooner desert me than faithfulness, quam fides. And me, agreeing with me is vindicantem. So me as I free my fiance, sponsor. So he's saying, basically, I'd rather die in my attempts to free my fiance than give up, basically. Okay, so let's go on then. So we're now at the start of chapter 46. And the subject is multitudo. So the crowd, concitata erat, was agitated, or you could say had been stirred up. And where a conflict, certamen, seemed videbatur to be imminent, instare. Instare means to sort of press on, to be urgent, something like that. So a conflict seemed to be imminent, seemed to be about to happen. The lictores, had surrounded Isilius, circum steterant, pluperfect tense, and then the object is icilium. And not, so nec just means and not, and then you have tamen meaning however. I just translated tamen as but here. So but, processum, or then let's do next. So but there was not a processum est, that means there was a proceeding, right? So, but there was not a proceeding beyond threats, ultra minas. Ultra meaning beyond, plus accusative, and minas being threats. So there was no progression beyond threats. It didn't reach violence. Why? Since Appius, cum Appius, and then cum takes subjunctive, and the subjunctive is down here, diceret. Since Appius was saying, and now we go into indirect statement, accusative and infinitive. So we got a few of them. So we got an accusative here, Virginiam, and then the infinitive defendi. And then you've also got an accusative here, inquietum hominem, and then quaerere is another infinitive. So since Appius was saying that Virginia was not being defended, so defendi is a passive infinitive, Virginia was not being defended by Asinius, but that an inquietum hominem, a turbulent man, and a man etiam nunc, even now, literally breathing the tribunate, spirantem tribunatum. In other words, breathing the spirit of the tribunate, wanting to act like a tribune. This sort of man was seeking, quaerere, a locum seditionis, a place of sedition. You could say an opportunity for sedition. Sedition meaning revolution, basically. So, in other words, so the situation does not escalate into violence because Appius wants to diffuse the situation. So he says, don't worry, this isn't a serious situation, with a serious claim involved. This guy is not really defending Virginia. He's just a rabble-rouser looking for any excuse to cause trouble. So let's all just not look at him, not engage with him, not give him the time of day, and let's all just go home. And that's how it gets diffused.